Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and Castalia House. Well, if you were on Twitter, you probably know that the Alt Hero campaign has now ended. But actually ended. I thought it did last night, but I was wrong. It actually came in at 245,000, which is just, absolutely astonishing to me. I was about 85% certain that we were going to hit 25,000. I did not. I even thought that it was possible, remotely possible, that we might hit 100,000 if things really went well. But I never thought that we were going to, do more than double that. And so, I'm very appreciative that the level of support from you guys is so strong. It's really quite astonishing, to be honest with you. And the thing that's great about this, the thing that's particularly meaningful about this, is that it sends a very strong message to the comics community and the creative community in general that there is a massive market for this. Now, I understand, I'm aware that Marvel does about $250 million a year in business. So, you can look at it and say, well, that's just a tiny fraction of it. But that's actually not really relevant because, Marvel has had literally decades to build up to that. And, they completely permeate society and the culture. And that is actually down significantly for what it was. Now the thing is, they're not going to drop their action. They're not going to change their action, especially not the people who are currently in charge running it. I've been doing a lot of reading recently about DC and Marvel, and frankly, the people that are currently running those operations are considerably more ideological and considerably further off the deep end than I would have imagined. They're not going to change it. In fact, based on the review of the new movie, I think it's called Valkyrie. It's set in one of the Thor. It's one of the Thor spin-offs. It looks like they are now actually taking a Ragnarok, right? It's just a joke. If you know anything about the story of Ragnarok, the portrayal of it is a joke, and the significance of it is that they are now spread exactly the SJW cancer that has completely metastasized in comics is now spreading to the movies, and so what that means is that they're going to be going downhill relatively soon. They're going to, they're not going to back off. They're going to keep pushing this. And what that's going to do is that is going to cause more and more people to look for alternatives, which of course is why we named it Alt Hero in the first place. And so, I'm very, very excited about the opportunity that lies before us. And so, they're literally creating opportunities for us to Fox News them, and that is going to happen. There's a lot of stuff going on that I can't even tell you about yet, but there's so much enthusiasm. It's incredible. We will likely be entering the comic industry in a big way over time. we're talking to some potential partners who dwarf Marvel, and they don't they don't necessarily dwarf Disney, but the point is that people are noticing what's going on. People are noticing what is happening, and what they're realizing is that simply giving in to the SJWs is a recipe for disaster. The retailers who were screaming at Marvel at the New York Comic Con are desperately looking around for alternatives. Now, we don't have a full-fledged alternative to offer them yet, but we are showing them the way that they can go. We are, and we are letting them know that not only do these alternatives exist, but that there's actually a tremendous pent-up demand for them. I was talking to Chuck Dixon the other day, or actually just yesterday, because we both thought the campaign was over. And so we talked about it, and he told me he's in it for the long run. And we're going to bring more and more people into it. We're going to bring in the very best people who are sufficiently talented and sufficiently trustworthy and sufficiently traditionalist to make comics great again. And I have the utmost confidence that we can do that, because the more that I look at the situation, the more I realize that this is incredibly doable. And the enthusiasm from people, the level of the caliber of people who are volunteering for things are really quite remarkable. We've got people who are already more than ready to go and visit their local comic stores and let them know about it and all that sort of thing. In fact, we probably will be putting together an initiative soon. If you're VFM and you want to spend a little time doing some research, let me know. This is only for VFM. So, we have some plans in place. We're going to need volunteers to execute them properly, but we know we'll get them. But I only want to work with people that we trust and people that have proven themselves. And so, because there's going to be, here's the thing that you need to keep in mind. The more success we find, the more people are going to jump on the bandwagon. And that's great. That's exactly what you want. That's exactly what you hope to do. But you need to make sure that the people that you work with are not people that want to jump in order to hijack the microphone. And that's the mistake that a lot of people make. We've seen it with the blog. We've seen it with some of our other activities. Success always brings out the fence sitters, the bandwagon jumpers, the kind of people, who are just not suitable for any sort of leadership. And so, so we're aware of that. We're not going, hire smart and fire smarter. That's true. So, and there probably will be, and that's one of the reasons why I said VFM only for this thing, because if I were to talk about it openly, you can be sure that there would be problems. Well, and there's a reason why SJWs can't create. It's because if they were honest, then they would drive people away. they always have to conceal who they are and what drives them. And the first person that they have to deceive is themselves. And, if you've read SJW's Always Double Down, I delve into this in a chapter, and they will never, ever stop, no matter what objectives they reach. Somebody said they're concerned about SJW's stopping what they're doing. They won't stop because they're not motivated by pursuing goals. They're not motivated by pursuing objectives. They're driven by their internal psychological issues. And so that's why the guy who is running Marvel right now. I read an interesting article about him, and it's not an accident that he is who he is. I suspect he's probably the one who announced that Chuck Dixon would never work for them again. I don't know that. I haven't. But if you read the profile about him and you read about how he is planning openly to gradually make more of these changes, you got to keep in mind the changes that you've seen already that have upset people so much is just the beginning of the plan. They want to get rid of all the traditional characters. They want to get rid of all the traditional heroes, all the traditional values. That is their goal. But they know they can't do it overnight. And so, this guy's managed to do this much damage in only, 5-6 years as Marvel's editor-in-chief. He's not going to stop. Disney's not going to stop him. The only thing that's going to stop them is when Alt Hero drives them out of the market. That sounds. I realize that sounds absolutely crazy, but the first step in that process just took place, and so we'll see what happens. I have no doubt that there's going to be all kinds of nasty little tricks and all that, all that sort of thing, because considering that Marvel and DC tried to sue some guy doing a business book who used the word superheroes in the title, we know that they are going to, once they start to feel threatened, then they're going to start acting up the way they always do. But it's not going to happen right away because as of right now, we're still at the laughing at them stage. The low-level SJWs are not laughing, but a business that does over $200 million a year is not going to pay much attention. I don't think that they will do that simply because it's going to be too widespread. That would actually, if they were to do something like that, that would actually benefit us more than it would hurt us, because the biggest problem you have with something new is the lack of attention and that sort of thing. Also, that would be betraying worry and concern that wouldn't make sense over such a small and new competitor. They've got plenty of competitors and that sort of thing. Although the interesting thing is that if you look at the monthly sales, if you were to take the size of that Kickstarter campaign and compare it to the monthly sales of all of Diamond's publishers that they distribute, I believe it puts us in the top 10 already. So the difference being we're not going to do that next month. So we're not going to have any revenue next month. So you get carried away with that stuff. But one thing that is significant, I haven't run the final numbers yet, but this definitely puts us in the top 20% of all, or not 20%, the top 20 of all 10,700 comics-related Kickstarters ever. And that is significant. You know, that is massive. And so, you know, I'm extremely pleased with how well it went. You know, I think it's going to be, this is just the beginning. And, you know, we're going to build on this. We're going to, you guys have, as I said on the blog, you guys have completely exceeded our expectations. You know, the team, you know, the hero team and I want to exceed your expectations with what we deliver. And that's going to be our objective, and that's what we're going to work towards. Some people have been saying, oh, you know, you should do another, you know, do another campaign for this or that. We're not going to. We are going to focus on getting this done right, and getting this done out to you. You know, once we have proved that we can do that, then, you know, we'll do another campaign to do more additional things. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff coming that is not related. If you want to upgrade your pledge, send an email to the free starter support. Just if someone can put that up on the screen for Shadow Watcher, I'd appreciate it. Well, we didn't. I mean, I wouldn't say we approach it with a one and done approach. We came in with the idea of doing 3 volumes, and then we set it up for 3 more volumes when it got exceeded so quickly. And so after we did that, then that was when someone pointed out that Mr. Dixon had backed the campaign, and I was talking to John Delarose, and who said that, you know, he was the one who had mentioned it to Chuck Dixon. So I called him up. We want to close it because we need to focus on making it happen now. Running a campaign like this, you know, this type of campaign, you know, Indiegogo does do open-ended campaigns. Freestarter does permit that. In fact, Voxversity, you know, if you're interested in supporting my political videos and lectures and cultural videos and lectures, you can do that. It's open. You know, anyone can sign up for an ongoing monthly contribution. You know, it's like Patreon. But you know, for something like this, I think you have to be very focused and very specific on what you're going to do. You know, after we hit the 200,000 mark, you know, people were saying, oh, you know, come up with some new stretch goals, give people more encouragement. And I said, look, we're more than happy to keep selling the comics that we're in the process of making right now, but I don't want to add any new duties, any new responsibilities, because we've already got plenty to do. You know, we can do it, we will do it, and we will do it well. But we're not going to do more than that right now. You know, if you want to think about the model we're using, I'm actually looking at the model that Mantic Games uses. I've backed a couple Mantic Games Kickstarters myself, and you know, they basically do a twice yearly Kickstarter. You know, they do sort of, I think it's kind of an event. They have like an event at their place, and then they announce what's going to be kickstarted and stuff. And so, you know, all their fans know that every 6 months they're going to launch it. And there's all this discussion about, you know, what are they going to do, what are they going to announce, and you know, it's amazingly well done. And I mean, I just got some of their emails talking about the new one, and you know, I was kind of fired up about, like, oh, you know, because some of the other stuff they've done the last few years, I'm like, who cares? But now they're doing this new, Kings of War related thing that kind of caught my attention. And so I suspect that that's the model that we'll use, is once we get the stuff out and people respond well to it, and we get a good idea for what works, what doesn't, and that sort of thing, then we'll probably do another one. So I don't know what you mean by that. So anyhow, right now, we're just happy that the campaign went so well. Dixon is aboard. Dixon is actually, we're now basically, we're basically billing it as written by Voxday and Chuck Dixon. He and I are basically co-writing the entire series. The way we describe it is he's going deep and I'm going wide. So he's working on everything related to the city of Avalon. He's focusing on that street level stuff that he likes, whereas I'm working about I'm working on more the world stuff, the global stuff, the strategic stuff. And so I think it's going to work extremely well. So does anyone have any questions then? I'll go ahead and take a few. Well, we'll show more characters as we develop them. We have some of them worked out. Aguilonia is a Spanish woman who she's basically the Aquaman of the Global Justice Initiative. So she has water-related superpowers. I'm glad to hear you're happy. Time frame for delivery. We're going to start delivering the first comics probably in the February time frame. No, you'll get a forum much sooner than that. You'll probably get the forum, I would guess, in December. I think that some of the characters will take a hard stance against, globalism, communism, whatever. No, we're not thinking of adjusting the reward. We will update things regularly. I don't think that there will not be any in-universe mentions of Marvel. They're pretty litigious. So we're not going to ask for trouble on that front. Granted, if they're dumb enough to try to sue over using the word hero or the fact that there's a star in the logo, that will certainly, like Mike Cernovich says, he'd love to be able to get the chance to do a little discovery on that side. Yes, I do sleep, but probably not as much as I should. Yeah, there will definitely be a tie-in with Infogalactic. Infogalactic is, to a certain extent, running this at the moment. And so, the Infogalactic is going to be providing the wiki. And, we're actually looking into some interesting linkages there. Just when we looked into adding a wiki to the website, we were kind of surprised that the WordPress tools were not what they should have been. I have no thoughts on Buck Fuentes or Nick Fuentes. Seems like a decent guy. I don't really pay much attention. I'm not really the person to ask about other people. I'm not into the whole "did you hear what Emily said about Sue" thing. The novels will be more or less standalone. Yes, I'll be doing a press release tomorrow. In fact, just before I went on here, I was getting some quotes from Chuck Dixon for tomorrow's press release. It should be particularly funny. I don't know if you noticed, but one of the guys was complaining about that and lamenting he couldn't believe the press release. We got some more contacts, some more media contacts, so you can probably expect to hear some whining and moaning about it, at least on Twitter and social media. Yes, we are doing a audiobook version of Hitler in Hell. I don't know if we found the right guy. No, Pajamas Media was the only news outlet that contacted us. I was frankly a little bit disappointed that outside of our usual, circle of friends, Mike Cernovich, Milo, Team Milo, Instapundit, Stefan Molyneux. Outside of that group, nobody said anything. They're much more interested in whining and crying about Harry Potter and the latest Marvel outrage than actually doing anything about it. But then again, that's kind of been the conservative motif for 40, 50 years now. So it's not like we should complain about it. Yeah, Ramsey Paul, definitely. But what I'm saying is that all the people who did talk it up and mention it in any way were all New Right social media types. You were not seeing it in any of the National Review was not talking about it. They didn't mention it on the corner. Frankly, I don't even, Breitbart didn't mention it. So, which is fine. We never planned to rely upon that. So, it's, that's kind of Cernovich's line. I don't know how true that is. That they actually prefer losing all the time, but whether they prefer it or not, they certainly seem to accomplish it pretty successfully. So, well, hey, that's all I've got for now. So, thank you again. Like I said, you really exceeded our expectations. Please be patient and give us the time to try to exceed yours. Have a good evening.